again, I would probably begin by asking them like what they need for support. I'm not sure exactly what just off the top of my head, I would start, by asking that. I think, like even looking at the recent decision for the downtown, the reconfiguring some of the parking spaces, that it seems like that decision, and then now they're changing that maybe that decision was made possibly by presuming that people in charge knew how to help people, and maybe that wasn't completely accurate. So I would begin with that. I have talked with some people that own restaurants that are friends, and I mean they have taken a hit, and I'm sympathetic to some of the restrictions. I just have questions about that I'm working through that I'd probably rather not share out loud and be recorded in a free way. So I'll just stop there.
Well, thank you for this question. I agree with Pam that I think that we should be listening to local business owners and making sure that we're held accountable to what businesses need in our community. I'm a big supporter of local businesses, and I'm honored to have the endorsement of a number of our local businesses, particularly here in our downtown area in Lawrence. I think a big part of what we need to consider is how our local businesses are pivoting in this moment and how we can support that through making sure that policies stay up to date and making sure that we're really championing those local businesses that are an important part of our community. So, I mean, we're all here in Miss Ellie's today. I don't know how many of you have taken advantage of the great meals that they prepare that you can just heat up in your own house. It's fantastic to not have to cook so often. So I think there are a number of businesses who are being creative, and we need to make sure that we're supporting that creativity, that as a commission we are working with the local cities to make sure that they're balancing out the policy needs of that, and we're really hearing from them on how it makes sense to support our local service industry and events industry. I know many of us are Zoomed out, but there have been some really fantastic Zoom events that have happened in support of a number of local businesses. I think this is also a moment for us to really make sure that we're considering social services and the social safety net that we have, because we need to make sure that when we do have businesses change and shift, and that's the important part of business, that sometimes with a crisis there are new opportunities. We need to make sure that the folks who are working in those industries aren't left behind, and that we have ways to make sure that they can move between industries and that they can pivot as well. So I think it's about support as a community for our local businesses and the ways in which they're pivoting, and support for our people and the people who are working in those industries. And when we're really a truly supportive and inclusive community, we have the opportunity to grow and to change. Thank you.
Our service industry and our events industry has taken such a hit, and there's a lot of pain there, and a lot of pain that we're yet to resolve. Starting with the downtown plan, which has been a little bit mixed in terms of what different businesses have felt about that. But I think our service industries and our restaurants have looked for some flexibility from our community to see what can we do to support, what do you need. So listening to our businesses especially will be important. The work of the Chamber in raising up the businesses that are finding creative ways to pivot in this moment, and we're all kind of collectively learning together to learn how to support each other. We've made a commitment that even though we did not typically eat out much, we raise most of our own food as it is, that we knew that this was a time when we needed to be spending money in our local community, especially around restaurants, and find ways to do that. I think the community has a chance to support each other in this, and I think our community is wanting to do that, and realizing that there's a role for philanthropy in terms of making person-to-person loans. I ran a program for a year called Slow Money, Northeast Kansas, which was focused on entrepreneurs, especially around food and farming, that paired people with an entrepreneurial idea and private investors. I think there's a role for that too, as we support each other as a community.
So I'm really glad for this question, because I don't think people realize how much of our economy and our population is the service industry. In March, when COVID was just really hitting, I was part of the committee that helped spend some state dollars very rapidly. It was the Hired Fund, and helped to determine honestly, quite a few of our restaurants were lucky enough to get $15,000 or $20,000 grants at that time. Also part of the Rise Lawrence committee that helped distribute about, over $200,000 through the money that was raised by the Douglas County Community Foundation. And some of our service industry benefited from that. The Douglas County Commission is overseeing the rapid distribution of $25 million here in the next few months. I'm going to advocate hard that a portion of that money needs to go to our service industry, particularly the arts and cultural community, our museums, our historical societies, our restaurants, folks who make up such an important part of the quality of life in Douglas County and who are hanging on by a thread. I attended a Zoom meeting yesterday of the Lawrence Restaurant Association, and they are doing everything they can to survive this moment, but it is just very, very difficult. And the future really doesn't look so great because our COVID numbers are getting worse. So anything we can do to support the service industry businesses during this time, and certainly through the next year, so maybe they can make it until 2022, is really important. I would say for those service industry employees who are unemployed now but receiving pretty generous unemployment dollars, that unemployment money is going to go away pretty soon. And so our social services, especially the Emergency Services Council, with money for rent and utilities, we're bolstering that at the county, knowing that that's going to be a real problem.